what is one issue that we're not talking about enough that we should be talking about more?
Family. I mean, I think really the whole core of society comes back to, traditional nuclear family, that fathers matter, mothers matter, parental rights over their own children.
Fatherlessness, the lack of fathers in the home. Like, I think that should be the number one. Like, and you've heard like Vance say it and like Vivek say it, but it's not like echoed in like literature. It's not echoed in what we're being taught. It's not like all I had to do was like search, you know how many drug addicts or people that become drug addicts grew up in a single family household. So that is a main factor for a lot of different, like not having two-parent households or dads not leaving, or it'd be okay for dads to hit it and quit it and just leave and just never come back. And like that's causing, if you look at how like women, like young girls, young adult women are like kind of acting, behaving, this OnlyFans crap. Where's your dad? Where's your dad? Because he wouldn't be okay with this. And so like you can kind of see it in a lot of the blue-haired liberal, blah, blah, blah people. Like, where's your dad? Besides, if you did have one, you cut him off because you voted for Trump. One of the biggest things that we need to talk about is like parenting, because our fatherlessness and parenting in general, because like these kids right now are a disaster, going through identity crisis. They're all freaking out, like in terms of whatever. They're all being influenced by whoever is speaking in their ear, music, this, that, the other thing, comparing themselves on social media. And I think it's just a massive identity crisis that nobody's talking about.
We should be talking about mothering, and I still mostly think that is true. Although on some days I think different things. But I think that, a lot of the problems that we're seeing in mental health, there's always the root back to the family and to what people's level of intimate relationships are. And we've become really fragmented as a country in terms of having those close, intimate, familial relationships that hold people together when things are messy or going sideways. Right now, a lot of that, the weight of that, of taking care of a new child, is entirely on the mom. And it is an individual decision. And yes, the individual does have to take responsibility for that. At the same time, in order to do that job right, if you follow John Bowlby and believe in his work, that means that a woman needs to sacrifice their career building years in order to do that. And I know from my experience, that's what I did. And when things went sideways for me, there's not a safety net. If you make that sacrifice for your kids, society is like, oh, so long, sucker. We got your kids and, we're just moving on.
The rights version of womanhood in a nutshell. Mothers shouldn't work outside the home. Their most important job is at home. Mothers shouldn't be paid for staying home. They aren't contributing to society. So they're doing the most important job, but not contributing to society. So they should earn no income, but also not work outside the home so they can have any financial security or stability if they don't have a spouse that's supportive. Like that, I can't deal with that hypocrisy there.
I know that there is a significant issue with reduced birth rates. I've been hearing about this quite a bit from different sources, and I don't see how you change things in that regard if you can't put women in situations where they feel like they are making that sacrifice and that they're going to be supported as they do it. And I'm not necessarily saying that, there needs to be like more government and more programs and that sort of thing, but I think that we need to talk about that. We need to talk about what it takes for moms to be able to do a good job with that, and what ways that, either culturally or some other sort of way, businesses or something, that make it so they can either stay in the workforce while they're doing that, or they can be supported. There'll be more on-ramps if things were to go sideways.
And when I try to talk about okay, Proverbs 31 woman worked outside the home, and this is what we're supposed to base womanhood on, I don't understand and I get, in an ideal world, no woman would have to. It would be a choice of this is where my natural giftings are, and this is what I have to contribute to the world. And as that fits in with motherhood and home caring, this is what I would do. And that's what I've created for myself. But I had to create that for myself. I am my own business owner. I set my own schedule. So I'm able to do that. I homeschool my kids and work full time. It is possible. I also have a spouse that very much is in support of that. I would not be able to do it. So yeah, this idea that like, you're right, it's masked under this kind of Christianity of women should be always at home with the children and they're harming their children if they're not. I mean, my goodness, if my children aren't safe in the care of my husband or my mother while I'm at work, like what are we trying to say about my husband as a father or my mom as a grandma? Really? Or even my next door neighbor, if I'm paying them for childcare, they're not safe ever with them. They have to like, and I get when my children were infants, I breastfed most of them. One of them I could not. He was a NICU baby and it didn't work out. And I get that they needed much more of me than they do now that they're like 8 and older. And my hours were adjusted for that. But why don't we have a society that's supportive of women being able to bring all of parts of themselves to society? And that's what I really see driving the abortion industry more than anything else, is that society is not catering to women's biology at all. It's a very male normative society in that way. And I don't mean that in that it's misogynistic. What I mean is work environments are set up for male bodies more than female bodies. And even our healthcare system, all research until the last maybe 10 years were based on male bodies, not female bodies. So male health issues are years and years behind where they need to be addressed appropriately. And so to shift our whole culture to being pro women's biology and pro children, which would also help men, would require work environments where maybe there's childcare on site. So mom can go directly nurse baby a few times throughout the day, or maybe there needs to be job shares where it's your time of the month and you have endometriosis and you can't work. Somebody picks up your days, but then you pick up theirs. Like, there are human ways to interact with one another that we can welcome women's biology. But whenever I bring this up from the left, I hear a lot of pushback around, you just want to end abortion. Well, yeah, but I also want women to be accepted into society as a full functioning biological human being. So like if your issue is 100% abortion and therefore you're fine with women not being accepted into society, I don't really think you're pro-woman either. I just think you're pro-abortion. And so we have nothing to talk about. From the right, the pushback I get is, but then you're going to be demanding women who want to stay home and work. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me now the issue is women versus women who want to work versus women who don't. So if we treat women who want to work well, we're harming women that don't want to work. If that's where we're at as a society, I have no idea how to fix the problem of the issue is 100% women